What's going on? Welcome to the.Ugly Truth podcast, where we get to speak with some awesome people who have done some amazing things. But in the midst of all those things, we know that there is always an ugly truth. So with that being said, I have with me Phil Garner, right?
Yep.
Phil Garner of Garners Garden himself. A lot of times I often get compliments on my skin so much, and people ask me where or how did you get your skin like that, or your skin is so flawless. They ask me, what do I do? You wear makeup. Oh, what type of makeup you use? I don't use makeup. I use Garner's Garden. And so it's a pleasure to be able to talk with you and meet with you, and just talk about how Garner's Garden even arrived, and where it came from, and maybe some trials and tribulations of one, owning a business. How does it all work? And so with that, I'd love to go on ahead and just give me a little bit of background about where you're from, if you like, and then how did we get to where we are now?
Hey, Kelly. Yeah, thank you for having me. It's when you first came on camera, I was like, wow, she's glowing. Look at that skin.
Hey, that's because I literally just put the what is this, the drops. So my whole routine, you clean. I use the antibacterial cleaner, then the toner. That toner is amazing, by the way, the vinegar toner. And then I use the hydration, the hydraulic,
the 4D hyaluronic
that's
acid
it.
face serum. That's
That
our
right
top.
there.
Yeah.
I let that stay on while I get dressed, and then I put the day-to-day oil on, which is like, that's like the top of where it's like, okay, yeah, I'm ready to step out now.
You need to be an affiliate. You could be selling this stuff.
Well, I think that's the plan. So the plan is when we release this, we drop it, because I'm in a large community with some awesome people. I'm going to drop it, and with under the video, I'll go ahead and put my affiliate link, and we'll work it like that, because the product is just, it's so amazing. It's not harsh. I've tried, and see, I grew up, when I was growing up, I had horrible acne. It was bad, man. Like, and even out of my teenage years, because first you think, you're like, okay, well, maybe it's just your teenage years. Back then you're not worried about drinking water and you're doing whatever you want to do. But even as an adult, I realized, like, in certain stressful situations, my skin would just act out. And then just to being a female, right, we have our own little issues and hormones and stuff. This skin, there's nothing that would, I tried everything, Proactive, Noxzema, soap and what, like anything. And then I started switching to natural products. I didn't start realizing until when I get older, our melanin is different. Oh. And we require different things. And so when I came across your product, I'm telling you, nothing has worked like your product.
Great. Well, I'm glad it's been working for you, and it shows right there. So a little bit about my background. I started Garners Garden is a natural skincare manufacturing company. We create natural products from your head all the way down to your toes, and including your mouth. We have fluoride-free oral care, which we're kind of like known for. That's our main. That's kind of like our main staple. Like, for every single order that comes through, like maybe 95% of them is going to have the oral care, because it reverses cavities, gingivitis, gum disease, bleeding gums, bad breath, morning breath. It takes away everything. It
does. That's actually how I got to you guys, was the oral products. And then I started looking further, and I went from that to the black soap to, like, I use nothing normal now.
Oh, great. Well, yeah, that's exactly what I kind of structured the company to become. I wanted it to be a one-stop shop, and then I'm always thinking, like, am I stretching this product line too far? It's like, so anyway, so we started with one product that was a body oil back in 2009, 2011-ish. And because I went to a vegan lifestyle, and I started looking at all those products, all those brands that you were talking about just now that weren't working. I Googled every single one of those ingredients, and I was just appalled at, well, oh my gosh, this is bad stuff that I'm putting. No wonder I break out every other week and stuff like that.
Right.
I started creating my own stuff. I started off with Crisco. I started slathering Crisco all on my body. My mom's like,
and what was that supposed to do? Like, was that supposed to, like, help dry skin, or like?
Well, it said vegetable oil.
Okay. So okay.
There's a difference between, the natural vegetable oils like olive oil and stuff like that versus the other stuff like Crisco, which is not good for you.
Okay.
So anyway, so then my mom was like, I think you're going to need to tweak that a little bit. Why don't you try something? And I remember my grandmother used to put olive oil on her hands every single morning. So I was like, well, let me venture out. And then I had a dream one day that I did a lot of meditation. I used to meditate like 6 hours a day, around 6 hours a day. After I got home from work, I would just meditate because I was trying to get myself back, get myself rooted back. I did this for like months and months and months. And then I finally had this breakthrough and I had this dream, and it was this white light. And in that white light, it had a chalkboard behind the white light, and I could, old school chalk, and it said rice bran, olive oil, jojoba, shea butter. And then all of a sudden that white light just made me download all this information. Like words started jumping off of that and then going into my brain. I was like an outer body experience, and I could see all those words going into my brain. And then the white light said, heal the world.
Wow.
And that's our motto today, is heal the world. So I woke up and I was like, what? Heal the world? Olive oil, right? It's like, well, what can I do? What can I do with those? And I started Googling it, and it said, olive oil, and then benefits, for, and then it said skincare. I was like, oh, wow, maybe I can use this for, whatever. And then I was like, olive oil, antibacterial, antimicrobial, anti-whatever. I was like, I know this already. Rice bran oil. Oh man, I know this. Shea butter. It is good for this. It's good for X. It's like, I know this. How do I know this? For some reason, I kind of knew it already. And then I just started buying. So I took $800 and I started buying my raw materials. And then from there, I just started making products and then taking them to farmers markets. And up until 2016, I transitioned online. And
wow. Then... So you said you took $800. So that $800, was that like, hey, this is all I have left, or this is just a number that I'm capping myself out at? I'm going to spend $800 and just see how this goes.
Yeah. Back then I had a job. So
nice. Okay.
I had a really good job. I was out of the military, and then I was an instructor for the military at that time.
Right.
I was doing pretty well. And I said, well, if I'm going to try this, $800, it was a lot.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going to try doing it. I don't want to lose it. So let me just start off with something small.
Right.
And then I haven't dipped back into my pocket ever since then. I said the profits from that are going to make this grow. To pay. And I need to find ways to sell these so that I can make more money.
Okay. And so tell me about that. Tell me about okay, I'm going to find ways. Okay. So now when you're like, okay, what made you, was there a level of research? Okay, these are the ways, or is just like, hey, I already know I can go and sell these products here because this is what that market has?
I just had to figure out where they could be sold. So my mom said, well, you can probably sell them at farmers markets. And then I started Googling farmers markets. So I had to find a platform. Back then, I probably should have just created a website and went online, and then whatever social media. This is 2012. So I started the LLC in 2013. Right. I wanted to make sure that the LLC would work first, or that the company would work first before starting the LLC, because LLC, that's another headache. And that's another ugly thing that you have to go through.
Ooh,
with the taxes. With the taxes and having being responsible for just everything that there is. Everybody likes to start their LLC, but then keeping up with it is something totally different.
Wow. Yeah. That in and of itself is an ugly truth. I know that we're our community are encouraged to LLC this, LLC that, put an LLC, but I don't think that a lot of people really realize everything that comes with the LLC. The cost. Okay, here in Maryland, we're both in Maryland, and the cost here is about $200 to start it. But every year you've got to pay a fee on it, and that fee that you've got to pay is $300. Well, what if the business didn't make that, or what if they don't have that? Then not only you have to pay that, but now you, like you said, you have to now pay the taxes. Who knows how to do taxes for the business? It's not always the same.
And then they send you a property tax bill.
Well, that too.
Property tax. Well, what does this even mean? Like, all right, so I put down my laptop, and then you got to pay more taxes on top of the sales tax.
Exactly.
You already paid on those assets because you should be amortizing their depreciation and all this other stuff. That's the reason why they charge you tax. It's just.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. I actually myself just got hit with that. I started my store on Shopify, henceforth The.Ugly brand, Do It Ugly. And I literally did just that. I didn't have an LLC until I realized, oh, okay, well, you're going to want to file. I filed my trademark before I even filed for my LLC, because I learned that was a little bit more, if you ask me, a little bit more important. But then I started realizing, okay, now I got money coming in and I don't even have a bank account separate. Okay, so now let me go file the LLC for this so that the money can be separate, so that I can pretty much do the same thing you did, whereas all the money that comes in is what continues to pay the business. So, I totally get what you're saying. That in and of itself is an ugly truth that's not really told. It's just, yeah, go get the LLC. It's so easy. Go get an EIN. Yeah, but there's a lot of other things that are encompassed in that. So
yeah, and that you're responsible for. So I made sure that the concept worked. I commingled the funds. I knew, from business school, I knew you're not supposed to commingle funds, period. But I did, until my bank said, "What are you doing? This looks like a business." And I was like, "Oh yeah, well, don't worry about it. I'm switching it over." So then that's when I got the LLC. And then, insurance for the company, going to just farmers markets, not, that type of insurance. You kind of have to get all those ducks in the row. Then you actually get to the platform that you're selling on, whether it be Shopify or whether it be in person, whether it be a brick and mortar. It's just, you got to pick which one do you want to do.
Right. And now, which one did you find was best for you? I know for me, I'm doing Shopify. I like the analytics and from the things I've seen, but I'm just only selling t-shirts. You know what I mean? There's several different, your website has several different products, you know what I mean? And so is there also one that's better? Is it better because of the type of product you're selling?
What better?
The platform that you use.
Okay, so we started off, so the website is garnersgarden.com, and we started it off on WooCommerce.
Okay.
That is a WordPress website.
Okay.
And holy moly, that was the word. I coach people, and they're like, yeah, I had to get somebody to build me this WordPress WooCommerce website. I'm like, I'm sorry, but cut your losses now and don't do it. Go to Shopify. Shopify is the biggest one in the world.
Absolutely.
Blah, 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 blah. It's just going to make your life so much easier. And all the analytics are in the back end. Analytics run your business, because if you don't know what you're doing, who you're selling to, where your customers are coming from, then what are you doing?
Right. Got to know the numbers.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So now, wait a minute, real quick. I heard you say you coach people. So do you have a coaching program, or is it on the basis of if someone reaches out and says, hey, would you coach me? Or is it something that you actually put out there, say, hey, I've done this before and I want to help other people. Here's my coaching.
Yeah. Right now it's more of like people, they message me.
Okay.
Or they get referred to me. It's like, hey, Phil, can you talk to this person? Sure, I can talk to them. However, I'll give you from A to Z in 1 hour. How much of that are you going to actually retain, and how much of that you're going to actually do? So if you want me to stick with you through, the first 2 weeks, talk to me an hour today, come back, do these things, and then come back to me 2 weeks later, tell me what you have accomplished. Then I'll put you on to the next thing, especially for product development and stuff like that, like the products that I create, or just anything. Like I help my wife with her law firm.
Sure.
She went from 0 to 100 very quickly. In 4 years, she has over 300 clients. It's amazing. I mean, I'm not taking credit for that, but I'm just saying the proof is in the pudding along the way.
Right. There's some things that that will get people in a position where, shoot, I might need to sign up for the coaching program.
But the point is that if you're starting off with something, you want to find somebody that has done it already, has gone to the mountaintop, and hopefully they don't charge you an absorbent amount of money, or hopefully they can shed light with just an hour of just talking.
Sure.
Take what it's worth. But if you don't seek out those people, then it gets real ugly there too, because you're just going to be spinning your wheels.
Right.
The answer is already there. You may just have to pay somebody to find that answer.
Right. So pretty much people have got to learn how to the importance of investing in themselves. Correct. And sometimes that will come with a dollar amount. Sometimes it'll come with time. You have to invest the time, or if someone's willing to, give you that opportunity, then definitely, I totally understand what you're saying in that regard to there's got to be a level of mentorship or so. There's some mistakes that people have already made. There's no need for you to make twice.
Right. Because I made them all along the way. This is 9 years now of doing this. and I could help you skip maybe the first 5 years with in about 6 hours worth of talking.
Right. Right. Which helps people, because I think that nowadays folks have this microwave mentality where we want things. You have this great idea and you're like, okay, I did this for a couple of weeks. How come it's not working? And you're like, well, probably some of those mistakes you already made, had you just came and talked to somebody, you'd probably be a little further on. So, so that's dope. So you say your wife has a law firm. What type of law does she practice?
So her law firm is amurphylegal.com, and she practices family, criminal, personal injury, I don't know, stuff like that. Mainly she's like the top, she's one of the top 40 under 40, and she just turned 30. Boom, drop the mic, but
oh yeah, right, immediately, man, drop the
but
mic.
She's really, really good. She's really connected within PG County, Prince George's County, Maryland.
Nice.
And she practices in DC and Maryland, and she's just awesome. She's really
awesome.
Good.
So with that, everybody, what I did there was, if you are in the Prince George's County, Maryland, DC area, okay, and you need a lawyer, then I'll figure out some type of way to make that happen too. But we got one for you.
Yeah.
So that's dope. Okay, and so break. Can you take me to now? Let me ask you something. So with the facial products and things like that, did you have to go through any type of like board of certification to say, hey, okay, yeah, this is safe to use before you started doing it? Or is it kind of like, how they like FDA approved and all that other kind of crazy stuff? Is there anything you had to do with that?
And that's the crazy thing. That's the first question that everybody asked me, especially when I was doing the farmers markets. They'll be putting stuff on. This is nice. What's your background? Are you a chemist? Are you a I'm like, nope. I'm just a business guy that for some reason is selling you some shea butter right now.
Right.
But overall, the FDA does not, there is no regulatory commission or whatever, that organization that regulates skincare. It's crazy. That's the reason why there's so much inside of our skincare.
Wow.
And that's why we're spraying all this stuff on ourselves and we have no idea what's in it.
Wow, I never knew that.
There are some ingredients that the FDA says you should not be using.
However, you can still use them and there'd be no penalty.
Well, yeah, technically, because there's no regulation.
Right. Wow. I never knew that.
It's like that blue, that neon blue that they use in toothpaste. FDA does not recommend that. It's a carcinogen,
So with that, what does the carcinogen do? What would it do to your teeth?
No, it does to your teeth, but it does to your body. Those things cause cancer inside of your body. This is the reason why these rates of cancer have just like totally increased, because what companies are trying to do is take something that's natural, recreate it, make it into something synthetic so that they can lower the cost of that material, because eucalyptus costs this much. What if I can get something to smell like the eucalyptus? I can get it for this much now. I can make it for this much. And then I can patent it also. And then I can sell it for all the way up here. And that's what happens. It's just a lot of BS inside of it. So to answer your question, is just a lot of, the stuff came to me in my dreams, but also, I just started reading, mix this with this and test it for some time, give it to my friends and family. It worked. Oh, wow, your skin looks amazing. And then I just started selling it, tweaking it along the way a little bit. But one product leads to another, leads to another, leads to your understanding expanding. So
wow. Man, well, first things, I never knew that. I never knew that was, so I at this point, I don't think I ever want to put anything out of a tube in my teeth ever again. But I don't. I use the products anyway. I use the oral care. That's where I came from, as mentioned before, the charcoal, oil pulling, and so on and so forth. So I don't have any complaints from my doctors. I don't have any missing teeth, so it seems to be working out.
And that's the main thing. If you have a business, you have to first identify a problem.
There you go.
Okay, a lot of people don't identify a problem. They just do what they just hope that something's going to work.
Okay.
You know, and it's more than just starting a catering company or starting a event planning company. Sure, you could do that, but what is a niche inside of that? What is a problem that you can solve for people? And a lot of people don't do that. So sure, I started a skincare company, but there's a million people selling shea butter. So I had to figure out something that is a little bit more niche within the genre, not the genre, but the thing of skincare, which is oral care. And I was and now I'm known as the first Black oral care company, Black owned oral care company, because we're the largest basically. And that's why it's in 95% of the products that we sold. We solved the problem within, you know, the bigger problem.
The big problem, right? Wow, I love that. I love that. Yeah, I think that sometimes we don't, you're right, in solving the problem. I think we have these ideas. It's like, okay, let me do this, but now what? So definitely get that and definitely understand that. So now your production now, so because now you're saying you are the largest and first Black owned skincare company, as far as I know. Your production. So you went from, talk to me or walk me through where you went from. Okay, we made this we started from the basement. Then we got a warehouse, and now where's your production?
Yeah, we have 2 warehouses, about 10,000 square feet. We have, you know, people working in it, creating these products. I had to teach these people how to make it. And that's about it.
Okay.
We the basement, you know, that's where you really, so that's one other thing. A lot of people are very quick to want to move to a warehouse or start in a warehouse or, you know, like, is that your basement that you're in right now?
Yeah, actually it is. This is where I'm doing my podcasting and clearly my deliveries and stuff like that. It's literally in my basement. Yep.
And you should not want to move until you are busting out of the seams, until your assistant, your assistant, and your mom are in there helping you all do all this stuff. And everybody's like this. That's when you're like, okay, I think I need a bigger space.
Yep.
But do not rush out, because my uncle, he's a real estate investor in DC.
Okay.
He does a lot of homes in DC, flips them. And I interned with him during the summer during college. And I was like, well, I mean, you're rich enough. Why are we working out of look like a home office? Why are you working out of a home office? All this stuff you should be having. He was like, but why? What's the point? It's like, that's just overhead that I don't need. I can run this all from here. I can bring people in when I need to bring them in and stuff like that. There's no point. And I said, good point. So I took that lesson from college years and I applied it to what you're doing and what I'm doing, what I did. Just worked out of the house. There was no shame in my game until I had to order massive quantities of stuff. I was like, how am I going to get this barrel down the side of my hill into my basement? I don't think I can.
Now it's not worth it.
Yeah, it's just too much. I need more water. Like my distiller in my house only did 25 gallons a day. Now I'm doing over 380 gallons of distilled water a day. It's like we need more production. And that's when we had to and I had 6 people in my basement. It was ridiculous. So yeah, it was time to move.
Yeah. So now you say you have 2 warehouses.
Yeah. One's for inventory and then one's the factory for production.
Got you. That is that's awesome. And so you sell worldwide?
Yeah, we do. But so when you're in business, when you have a retail business, e-retail, e-commerce, and you have to figure out like, who do you want to focus on? Do you want to focus on US based businesses or do you want to focus on the world? It's 2 separate things, because it's the shipping, it's the cost, it's the customs, it's the what happens if it gets lost. Are you going to spend another $80 shipping it to the small Greek island off the freaking Mykonos or whatever? You're losing money every single time. Or should you just focus on the 350 million people within
the home base?
Yeah, it's like I'll for me, I said I'm going to focus on that. If people trickle in from the world, sure, I'll send it out, but we have to figure out a way to do that. And DHL is the best way, in my opinion, because it gets there quickly and with less heartache.
Yeah, I used to, when I first started, I had my first 30 shirts done. I went overseas, and it was cool. First experience ever doing that. But then when it came down to, that was only 30 shirts. Well, when we oversold, now it's like, okay, well, I need 100 shirts. And the manufacturer overseas was, yeah, well, DHL went up 33%. And what was a $500 order when I first started became a $3,000 order. Yeah. And so in a scramble, I had to figure out, okay, no, because that's just not acceptable. Like I couldn't do it. And so, that's how I learned, okay, cool. So now you got to start using home-based, manufacturers and things like that, because that's what made sense. So definitely learned that ugly truth. It was fun while it lasted for the first go round, but haven't been back since. So it's been great. So now we're here. You've been in business 9 years. What other opportunities has creating this opened up for you? Like, have you gotten into real estate investing yourself? What other opportunities has this provided for you?
That's one thing. So the ugly truth about expanding into other businesses, right?
Let's talk about it.
Don't do it until you are like making million. And I'm not saying I have another business, but we'll get into that. And I think I may have gotten into that a little bit too soon.
Okay.
But listening to somebody named Alex Hormonzi, I think he has a podcast. He's also on YouTube. He made $100 million in his business by the time he was in his mid 30s, and he just dropped so much knowledge in all 300 of his podcasts. He used to charge $10,000, $20,000 for all this knowledge. And you can apply it to what you're doing. Bottom line is, he's like, why are people always having 6 different businesses when you just need one good business and make you $1 million, and then maybe perhaps get into another business. But until that one business makes you that money, focus all your energy and effort onto that one business, because if you try and split it up between 6 different things, it's not going to really work. But anyways, I know that now, and I had an opportunity to expand into another business, a third one, and I was like, no. I need to focus on these 2 that I have right now. One is a junk removal company. Did we come to your house?
You absolutely did. You absolutely did, and got me out the way. And I meant to call you and send you kudos for the 2 gentlemen that came. I cannot remember their names, but Eric, they were awesome. Yes, they were amazing. They're light and just personality. Like I'm like, okay, so from this point forward, bulk trash, even though I know it's free, right? I would much rather support you, and to know that they came with that mentality. I'm like, okay, so now I know they need to go to everyone else I know. So that was just a little sidebar. They were awesome. They were great.
Awesome. That website is jdogwaldorf.com.
We will make sure that we have that in the link for the YouTube for sure. Because junk removal, especially with people being home during COVID stuff, people are getting that place where they're like, man, I just want to clean everything out. And bulk trash, normally you have to wait for like a month or something like that. I had that mattress sitting upstairs in the guest bedroom for like already a month. And I'm like, man, when you said that, when we were having a call, I'm like, oh, no, it's got to go. So that was awesome. So now with you saying that you feel like you got in too soon, what makes you feel or say that way?
Well, for me, maybe I don't know. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Sure.
We like last year, we sent out 54,000 packages. That's almost 2-point-something million of revenue for Garners Garden.
Okay.
And remember, I started in the basement with $800, right?
There we go.
So I think, and the business was running on its own kind of. I have virtual assistants. I have about 8 of them. And then I have people in the warehouse. I have a manager. I have a person that runs the company. All those people are running the company. And I'm just sitting here during COVID. My wife and I used to travel a lot, but we couldn't during COVID. And I was like, damn, I'm kind of bored now. What do I do? And then I started researching different things, and I came along junk removal, and I was like, okay, this is good. Right. So at that time, I think it was okay for me to transition, because in the back of my head, I was like, okay, I gotten a little bit I got a little bit of revenue coming in with this other company. However, I just had an uneasy feeling. At any time, something could go wrong with this one company. And now what? All my eggs are in one basket. And something did go wrong. My Instagram got shut down in January.
I remember that.
Yeah. I bought the franchise in September. And then January, I started the franchise, but then at that same time, my Instagram shut down.
Yeah.
So therefore, 40 to 50% of my revenue, poof.
Wow.
Gone.
Wow.
But then that's when my new company started to get into motion. So I was like, yeah, I guess so while I'm fighting to get my Instagram back, January, February, March, I mean, every single week, I'm literally losing 30 grand because it's not on Instagram.
Right.
So January, February, March, April 1st, it finally comes back on. And Facebook, which owns Instagram, says, oh, I'm sorry. Here's your Instagram back. Wait, why? There's no reason. There's no reason why. So they gave it back to me, but it's never been the same.
Right.
So I don't know. I just had an uneasy feeling. So I had to find another. Last summer, I had an uneasy feeling. So I started researching different things.
Yeah. It's crazy. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. So the lesson for that is always have a backup to like your Instagram. Have two of them and run both of them simultaneously.
Okay.
Because at any given time, something can go wrong. Somebody can report it, or haters. I don't know. And that one can shut down, but you still have an audience over here. If that's the way that you have two TikToks, if that's your avenue of getting people,
right.
Whatever that is, have two of them.
Yeah, it's so crazy you mentioned that. I released our hoodies last Friday. My Instagram got hacked Friday morning. No, I'm sorry, Thursday morning. And it actually got ransomed for $500. The guy hit me up on or the hacker, I don't know if it's a guy or female, but they sent me a WhatsApp and said, hey, are you one Kelli Kelz Instagram? Well, yeah. I'm the one who hacked your page. And if you want it back, you can pay me $500. And I, like you, majority of my marketing is done on my Instagram because that's where people get to see me and fall in love with the brand and just what the brand means. And when I first released the shirts, man, you're talking about, I believe we made maybe 110 sales or something like that, which I thought was pretty good for a launch.
Yeah.
And so I had been getting questions about hoodies because it's hoodie season. And so I worked so hard, get these hoodies together, whatever. And literally the day before, so I hadn't been able to ramp the crowd up, because I had just lost my Instagram. And I still to this day have not spoken to Instagram. And so I'm still working through that. I started another page, but to go back and try to regain all of that traffic, it's hard. It's hard. And so went from 100 plus sales on day one to 13 on day one. And so to hear you say that, I don't know if this is weird, one, comforting, because I'm not alone. So lessons learned. And just like you said, the lesson learned is, I have a backup page, which is a Do.Ugly brand, but that page doesn't get as much traction because there's not a lot of me on that page. Yeah. I try to keep that page more so focused on the brand and business, so to speak. But my story is what sells this brand. And so lesson learned, okay, now we have to start with email marketing and text marketing and things like that. And so now I'm having to, I'm working with some folks to get that system put in place because like you said, I wasn't losing $30,000, but goodness gracious, I took an L because of something like that. And so, and it was the day before launch. And so I'm like, goodness gracious. Like, it just defeated me, to be 100% honest.
Wow.
So I'm still working with this. I don't know when I'm going to get my page back. I've got to get in contact with Facebook and so on and so forth, like you said. But folks that I have talked to, like you said, 3 to 4 months. And so, that probably had to have been a hard recovery. When you lost your Instagram. I remember when you lost your Instagram because I used to always, that's really kind of what always would oh, remind me, oh, Kelli, you need to make an order. You run another one, this, that, and the other. So how's it been regaining that traction? Have you been able to, I know you said it's not been the same ever since, but have you been able to put something into place to regain it?
I mean, it is what it is at this point. And you just,
right.
For me, it's like, okay, let's continue. Let's figure out new ways of doing this, because I guess in that 4 months, things have changed. I don't know. Our audience has changed. One of my influencers that I have a close relationship with, her name is Angelina Castro. She had like 1 million followers, right? And her page got taken down. And when she finally got her page back, she was like, well, she started another page in the midst of that, but now she runs both. But she was like, that first page, she even said that's not even the same either. It's like there's something off about it now. It doesn't reach as many people. It's just it's not that gusto, that energy is kind of
it's different. Yeah.
So
I totally understand that hurt. That was a very painful thing to actually experience, like you said. I don't know if it's just the haters, whatever, but one thing, go ahead.
But the lesson learned is 2-factor authentication for you.
That I did. I put that on all of my pages now.
Good.
Yeah.
You can't just be 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. I mean, I've come up with like all kinds of, and see, the thing is trying to remember the darn things. Like, it's okay. Well, I can do this, and I try to write it down. Okay, well then where'd you put it? Like, I mean, of course they have like password keepers and things like that. But I'm like, well, dang, what if that gets hacked? Like, I felt so violated when that happened. I'm like, dang, when that man sent me the hacker sent me the message, do you want it back? I'm like, yeah, it's mine. I worked hard for that. And he's give me $500. I said no. He says, well, I'm going to scam all your friends. Well, cool. All my friends are going to know it's not me. So now what? Like, what's the point? Just give me my page back, bro. But I'm still working with Instagram. I haven't heard anything from them, which reminds me, I'll check it. But I kind of, just got frustrated. It's we have this platform where you can do, pretty much free marketing, just about. And then, to kind of have something like that happen, it's like, where's the reprisal for me, but they don't really care. They're still making the buck, and we're still on there. We created another page.
And one thing you said, that the Ugly brand, it's not really me, it's the brand. That's one thing that I always tell the people that I talk to. It's the ugly truth behind making sure that your brand takes off quickly is for people to support the owner of that brand. Because if it's just the brands, if it's just this on there, buy this, and there's models holding it and whatever, and it's not you. I looked at your personal page and I was like, holy crap, there is so much energy on this page. Everybody is just in love with Kelli. This person, I
appreciate that.
There has to be something about this person. I want to do an interview with her. Yes, I do. And if you translate that into your brand, everybody's just going to be like, whoa, let me buy a t-shirt. I don't know why, but let me buy a t-shirt.
Right.
Because I want to support her. I'm buying this t-shirt, not for the t-shirt. I'm buying it because I want to support Kelli.
Yeah. I appreciate that,
with
King.
Any brand, it all starts with the owner and the story and the energy that the owner brings to it.
Right. I appreciate that so much. This brand got started off of a whim, you know what I mean? Off of something. It's just something that stuck with me, because it's in everything that we do, whether it be business, life, relationships, there's always an ugly truth. There's always something ugly about it. You get married, nobody's, I'm not married. I want to be married, but I mean, I look at my parents, they're married 46 some years. I think it may be more than that. I don't know, but there's an ugly truth behind that. People see, oh man, they've been married so long. Yeah, but there's an ugly truth behind that. And why that's even, that business is great. Yeah, but and I think that sometimes that's not exposed. And so I want to dig, into that and not to discourage people, but to just know that, one, it's okay to do it ugly, number one. And number two, be okay with your ugly truths, because they are a part of your story.
A lot of people are scared for some reason to get up in front of the camera and shoot a video and say, hi, I'm the owner of XYZ Bakery. And this is my cupcake, and please buy it. Instead, they want to take a picture and hope that cupcake has enough personality to sell to those 2,000 people that just saw your cupcake today.
We're expecting
the cupcake has no
personality.
The cupcake has no personality.
Wow.
It has no personality.
Wow. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
But if you get up in front of it, somebody's gonna like you, and you're gonna sell to that one person that one day.
Right, and that's okay. That's cool. So now, just a real quick pivot. So now we've got I feel like we've talked about, you know, what's ugly behind the business. You said it's a couple of the losses that you've taken, traveling and stuff like that. I know that you are also a new dad. I mean, months in, or
2.5.
Oh, I mean, you're
Seems like 3 years, but 2.5.
I can't speak on that either. I've only got puppies. But
it's almost, if you love your puppies, then it's like having.
I do love my puppies. Like something is serious, and it is like having children. Henceforth, why I don't have any. This is why I don't have any, because I had one pup, and I said, oh, okay, this is great. I need another one. And I started over, and I was like, whoa, okay. And I was older though, you know what I mean? And then I actually had help, but then, you know, that situation changes. And the first puppy I had passed away. And then I was like, okay, well, I got to get another one. This is during COVID. I'm home. I can train it. But by that time I was over, 10 years older than what I was when I got my first puppy. And I'm like, listen, this is something different here.
Yeah.
And my patience is not the same. It's not. And so ugly truth of parenthood, family life. We don't have to go too deep. That it sounds like you and your wife, you guys tend to support each other and things like that. Ugly truth of just family and business. How do you maneuver those things? How do you keep them afloat, so to speak, and going in a positive manner?
Yeah. So when I first met my wife, I said, I am not going. So if you're ready to have a kid, I'm not ready to have a child.
There you go.
I'm 7 years older than her.
Okay.
I'm 38. She's 31.
Okay.
And met her 4 years ago, 5 years ago. I don't know. Let me not get in trouble.
Don't worry. I won't send her the link. Don't worry about
it. And I told her I had to be at a certain level before I have a child. And then it just so happened, we hadn't planned it or anything. Just so happened we got pregnant. She got pregnant, and we were both at a certain level, and it just happened to work out that way.
Okay.
My point is that I had to plan it. And if I had a child 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I don't know if I could do what I did, how I did. I lost so many girlfriends along the way because they just they wouldn't stay up with me till 2 a.m. They were waiting for me to get into bed at 9 p.m. I was like, this is when I start working till the next day. That's another thing, is putting in midnight, how much work actually goes into building this. People see the outcome of where you're at now. You got you got all these people working for you, you got revenue coming in, but I forgot to say how we got there.
Let's talk about it.
As for fatherhood, I don't know if I could do it back then. So back then, I remember I told you I was an instructor for the military. So between 2016 is when I quit my job, or 2016, I guess. So between 11 and 16, 5 years of doing farmers markets and stuff like that, I would come home, make the product. Well, I would wake up at so around 4 p.m. after taking a nap, walking the dog, getting home, I would start working again. So I would start creating products from 4 to basically midnight, 1 a.m. And then I did that Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday was a farmer's market. Thursday, I would come back, re-up on the things that I sold at that farmer's market. Then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday was another farmer's market. I would leave work. I would say, don't pay me. I don't give a shit. Don't pay me.
Right.
I'm taking leave without pay. Goodbye.
Right.
And I would go sit at these farmers markets throughout the week. I would go up to DC from Virginia in the middle of the day so I can get to the farmers market by 4 p.m. and set up all my stuff and sell the stuff, and then come back home and then still make the products because I need to make the products for the next day. So every single, and it was nonstop for 5 years. And I woke up at 4:30 so that I can leave the house by 5:30 so I can get to work by 6 so that I can finish work by 2 p.m. so that I could sit in traffic from 2 to 3 to get back home. And then that's the reason why I started creating products at 4 p.m. So I did that for 5 years. Yeah, sure. I had girlfriends during those times, but they just couldn't. So your love life takes a toll. Your family life, well, family supported me. But just, you got to find that person that supports you. And I finally found my wife. She had the same type of hustle. And at that time, she was just finishing up law school, taking the bar, all this other stuff. She studied for 8 or 9 hours a day. I get it. I don't need your company. I'm down in the basement. While you're upstairs, I'm down in the basement you're doing your dream upstairs, studying for the bar for 9 hours. So that kind of matched. And then she got her first job. And I was like, you don't want to be doing this. You want to be litigating. You want to be in the courtroom, don't you? She was like, yeah. I said, screw this. Start your law firm. She was like, well, what about you? I said, well, I need to quit my job. She was like, well, if you quit your job, I'll start my law firm. So she challenged me.
That is a deal.
And I said, well, that means you got to quit your job. I said, her job that she was at for like 4 months. And she was like, okay. So we wrote our 2-week notice. I said, oh gosh, here we go. I handed it in. And I said, okay, I quit my job. Now it's your turn. And we both started. And we started building from just being at home together 24/7, literally. And we're just bouncing ideas off each other. It was like a think tank for business starting. And we just both grew our companies.
Wow. That is a talk about loving basketball.
It takes somebody to be on that same wavelength. If your partner right now is not on that same wavelength, I'm not saying that your marriage or your relationship won't last, but it's going to take a huge toll. And children too. I don't know how you can do it. Sometimes you just have to wait until you're 40, until your kids are 15 and they can take care of themselves. But right now may not be the right time if you have a 3-year-old.
Right. Or if it is, you feel like it's that right time, it's gonna be a tough time. Yeah. I get that, man. That's one hell of a love story there.
Like reality is ugly sometimes.
It is. And I think that sometimes we all this glitter and glam is always thrown in our faces, and sometimes we forget like how ugly it is. Like even those people went through an ugly place, and even in those glorious places, it could still be behind the scenes so much that goes into it. So wow, man, that was awesome. That was amazing that you guys, you wrote your 2-week letters, and then it's like, all right, we're out. And then it kind of forces you to be like, okay, this has to work. Like this has to work.
I don't know how we did it. I think at that time I was doing 25,000 a month in revenue. Maybe out of that 25, because you had to put all that 25,000, 24,500 of it needed to go back into the company to make it more and more. Luckily, I had my disability from my being a veteran, being in the military. So I had that. I could still pay the bills. I could still do things and still pay myself a little bit, like $500 a month. And I was living fine. But I had something still. It wasn't the job funding me. I had something else still funding me. So you have to quit your job at the right time when you have that amount of money that can. And another thing, I'm sorry.
No,
my uncle taught me is do not quit your job if you have debt. We're not talking about mortgages or anything like that, but we're talking about credit card debt. We're talking about student loans, kind of. Just any type of debt, even a car note. I sold my car. I loved my car. I had an Audi TT. I thought I was the coolest guy. I was like, and I was like, I got to sell you because this is debt. This is a $500 bill that if I want my freedom, if I want to quit my job, I need to sell you. So I sold it and got something, paid it off. And that was a work truck to get back and forth to the things. And that was my personal truck. That was it. My life was this now. Right. So you gotta make sacrifices and sell your stuff.
Well, you're kind of jabbing me a little bit right now. I know that one thing Oh no, just I'm. Well, it's one thing for me is I have a car that I love, and so right now, of course, I do the Turo thing, but I refuse to put this particular car on Turo because if something happens to it, I will personally feel some type of way. I am personally attached to this car, but just hearing you say, man, Kel, I love that car, but in order to get where I needed to be, that joker had to go. That was $500 a month. That could have easily, that clearly went somewhere else. That's over half of the $800 you invested in this company. And so I have to, it's definitely all about mindset. I'm a sneaker person. I have backed off immensely off of buying tennis shoes. If I sit here and add it up, how much I've spent in shoes, it's disappointing. It's actually disappointing. But it's before I knew better, better, you should do better. But just to hear you say that, I'm like, dang, that Lexus sitting outside, it's pretty cool. However, I have one or two options. I can either put that thing on the app and let it pay for itself, which is an option, which, kind of seems like it's a compromise. It's a win-win situation, or you just get rid of it totally and, keep the, cars that I have on Toro. And when they're out, they're out, are you really going anywhere? It's a question. So definitely a little dagger for me to think about, but I appreciate that, to hear that, because that is an ugly truth. Like, yo, do you really want to do this? Or do you just want to look like you're doing it? I think that's a thing where we want to look like we're doing these things, but are you really doing what's necessary to do those things?
Because one day I told myself, it's like, this is once I got over it, I was like, I'm going to have this car plus whatever else I want in life, period. If I just give up this one sacrifice now, can I do this can I sacrifice this to get to where I want to get? And I said, I have to. I quit my job. I have to. I can try and pay this $500-600 note, but
but why?
Doesn't make sense. This is half my mortgage. So let me just sell it and let me live off of this disability and a little bit of income that I get from the company, and I'll be fine.
Yeah,
I'm glad I did. Yeah.
I've got some thinking to do. You guys might see that Lexus on Turo. Guys, go get it. Go take it out for a couple days a week. So that's awesome, man. It's I never saw myself in this position doing podcasting, and then with the Ugly brand, I'm not even a fashionable person. I like tennis shoes, but I'll still go to Target and get a white tee and some joggers and keep it moving. But just there's always that truth, that ugly truth of how things started. And so to hear, I started seeing $800 in the bottom in my basement. I never would have thought that. So just to hear that, man, it's amazing. It's amazing. And so let me ask you this: your childhood growing up. I know we talked about that a little bit offline, but what did that look like? Because sometimes you have people who have those stories like, those stories where, they didn't have a choice. The lights were going to get cut off and stuff like that. I don't have that story, but they didn't determine my hustle. So what gave you your hustle? What determined your hustle, your mindset?
I don't have that story either, but I grew up in Fairfax, Virginia, and spent a little time in Barbados, came back and finished out high school in Fairfax. And overall, I mean, my dad, we were fine. I didn't, but I think in my family, we're full of entrepreneurs. I think as a culture, we as a people are entrepreneurs. We're hustlers to begin with. Like, we just want to start businesses, period, and just build on stuff. I think that's just our culture as in a people, people, right? And I think, but then I think some people have the business sense behind it. A lot of people have ideas, but then they get trapped behind their debt or behind their family life or behind something that stops them from going forward, because the average person that probably has a business idea, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I was just fortunate enough to always I felt like I always had a net under me that if I failed, that somebody in my family would take care of me. Luckily, I never failed.
Right.
Because I got lucky by being smart, I think, and understanding business, different things in business. Like my wife, she's a lawyer, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, you're the best lawyer ever. However, you're not the best business person. I'm just telling you straight up.
Fair enough.
Business is something different. You could be the best doctor in the world. That doesn't mean that you can run an office, your own practice. A business mind is a business mind. So if you have an idea, but you don't have that business mind, you either need to get a partner or you just need to hang it up and go to work somewhere else. But you have to study business. You have to be a student of business also.
Being a student of the
marketing.
game.
So luckily I have an MBA and I just love business. And my first business was when I was in Fairfax, when I was a kid, was a landscaping company.
Right.
I got the kids to start going around the different houses. Bring me back that money. Here's some money to you. Bring me back some money. Here's some money to you. I had a little landscaping. So that was my first business. Well, my very first business, my dad will say, is me selling his tools out of his shed. When I got in trouble a lot for selling anything I could get my hands on. Hey, Dad, do you want this tie? No, you can have it. Cool. Here, $5.
Go to a private school. Hey, you don't have your tie today. Instead of getting written up, I got one for $5 for you.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's just inherent in me.
Yeah.
There was something else I had, but I forgot what it was.
All good. It'll come back to you. So, man, it's wow. I think that what you said in regard to it's inheritance, it's in us. I definitely think that everyone can start a business if they want to. But it's definitely about you mentioned something, being trapped behind something, being trapped, whether it be debt or maybe be trapped behind your environment, trapped behind your family life or whatever. All of which some things, I believe most things are controllable. You can control your environment if you want to choose. If you want to get out of debt, well, change your spending habits. Where's your money going? Budget, things like that. And so I am one for entrepreneurship. I think that it's hitting me a lot harder right now I work for the federal government too. So you know that life. If you ask me, a little bit of dictatorship, and haven't been exposed to entrepreneurship and actually being in entrepreneurship, it makes it hard to go to work. So I believe maybe where you are, maybe where your wife was too, where it was like, hey, you don't really want to do this. Now it's getting to a point where you got to make a decision. Either we're going to go all eggs here or we're going to go all eggs there. And of course, now that was with, you guys being in a position to be able to do so. And so also putting yourself in the position to be what it is that you claim you want to be. And so I think that from what I heard, you did that for 5 years or so before you went on ahead and say, okay, enough is enough. I'm hanging it up and we're going to do this 100%. So that was, I really appreciate that because it's tough.
I remember now. Yeah, it is tough. And speaking of tough, if you're in, you start your business, right? And I have a passion for selling these kids books, right?
Okay.
And that was the first business. The first business that I had was a landscaping company. The second business was a silent investor real estate company that I did with my uncle. The third company was selling used cars out of my front of my driveway. And the fourth company was this. My point is that first company that you start is not necessarily the one that you're going to end up in. You're that you started it. You had this idea when you were 25 and you started selling cupcakes and everything like that. And you got something out of it.
Right.
But then your interest may have changed. Your life has may have changed. Something may have changed to where you want to focus on something else. But you see that you put this much effort into these cupcake business, but this over here may be a little bit more lucrative. Plus the knowledge that you have from that first business. You either keep that one running, which I don't recommend, or you go and do that new business.
Right.
But a lot of people start off with business, doesn't mean that's the one that you're going to be in. long term.
Yeah.
So just be like water. Flow.
Right. Yeah. That I've learned that myself this year. I started I started on real estate, which led into credit repair. I started realizing that people had one of the reasons why we couldn't own so much real estate is because our credit was, like you said, we were trapped behind the debt or trapped behind bad credit. And I got into that. And then that led me to getting with it. What I do every morning. Part of my ritual is to get into morning meetup. It's a bunch of entrepreneurs who meet up every day, and we meet with I would say, mentor and whoever he brings on, David Shands. And that's where the Ugly brand came from. And now gone from a t-shirt business to podcasting now. No way, near, shape, or form do I go from real estate to credit repair. You know what I mean? And I mean, started LLCs for all this stuff. You know what I mean? My LLC for real estate is Homes to Homes. But and now I have no interest in it. Things have changed, like you said. And so in order to be in entrepreneurship, I definitely agree with being able to be like water, and also what makes you full, not just what might pay you. Real estate can pay you good, fill out some paperwork and negotiate a couple of deals, get a nice little commission check, but the fulfillment there. And so I found my new fulfillment in the Ugly brand. And so, because I feel like it's just a way of life and everything that we do. And so it sounds like you found your fulfillment with Garners Garden.
Yeah, because the purpose was given to me,
yes,
through that meditation and through just finding myself. Really.
There you go.
It was, I just said, I was given it by the white light, whatever you want to equate that white light to. I said, this is my mission and I cannot fail this because this was given to me.
So can I ask you something? What was the ugly part that made you even go into a meditation? Or was it something that you did all the time anyway? Was there something that triggered that?
Yeah, it was a bad relationship.
There you go. Okay.
And I said, I don't like who I am in this relationship. And I don't like who I've turned into, or I'm distraught right now. I'm just frazzled. I'm just and I had to find myself. I had to go in. I had to go within. Okay. It was like there's something missing from inside of me. And I think finding myself and finding who I am, it just made everything just so simple. And the world was just so much more beautiful. Wow. But I had to accept all the BS who I was. And I had to correct it.
There you go.
Because the world doesn't, the universe doesn't reward ugly people. It does not. I mean, not ugly as in physical.
Of course, right. We're not talking about the physical aspect,
but spiritual. You got to repair yourself first. You got to fix yourself, and then everything is just going to be so much more clear. All those elephants won't be in the room anymore. All that stuff on your shoulders will be taken off, and you will just be able to focus with good intentions.
There you go. Wow, I love that. That very same thing happened to me when it comes to driving into getting into business. Bad relationship, and led me to therapy, which is by far one of the best decisions I've ever made. I think that in our community, we don't encourage it enough. We don't encourage meditation enough, or seeking those deeper dives, because they require a level of ownership. And I think that sometimes we don't want to own our stuff. And
our ego won't allow it.
Yeah. We
have to put our ego to the side. Our ego is our brain, honestly. And we overthink things. And that's another thing when we get into business and we allow our ego to control us while we're going into business. And we won't accept people's help. We won't accept people's advice. And we just try and fit. We try and fit things into things that don't fit.
They're not supposed to. I think we talked about that a little bit too. The Who Not How book I was reading by Dan Sullivan. Pretty much saying what you just said. Like, that ego, you have that ego where you feel like you've got to hold on to every single aspect of your business. When all actuality, if you're not, like you said, for your wife, you're a great lawyer, business isn't your thing. So you pass that off to the person whose thing it is for business. Our egos, they can really, really ruin us. Or if you let it go, can definitely put us in a winning position.
Yeah, for her, she got a coach.
Right.
She got a coach, and they laid it all out for her. This is the business side of a law firm.
Okay.
And then once she did that,
there it is.
She hired an associate. She hired another associate. She hired a billing person. She hired all these people that she needed to structure her law firm properly. But she had to put her ego to the side. I was like, oh no, I know what I'm doing. Hey, she wasn't like that, but some people are.
But some of us are like that. Some of us are like that. I got it all figured out. I looked it up on Google. I know what I'm talking about. I've done my research.
But she was open to suggestions and to coaching.
Right. So that's awesome, man. Well, I've definitely first one grown to love the product. This product changed me. I started using the product. I was getting, I really started using the product because I was on the back end of a relationship, and it was garbage. And my face, once I started transitioning out of that relationship, my face started clearing up. And I'm like, okay, well, one of this is stress. Okay, so cool. But you don't realize all of the factors that go into your skincare, even in your hair care. And so I realized that. But when I started using your stuff, I'm like, everything is natural. And then the person who makes it looks like me, which made me feel comfortable. Like you said, it's your story. So I'm like, well, shoot, he's got to be getting this right because, well, we got something going on, and that's hand in hand.
Yeah.
And so it was, just as something as simple as, all of that can lead you up to your product, a product. I've been a customer, I believe, for about 2-3 years now. I would say about 3 years now, and I have not deviated and won't. So I appreciate the vision that you've had, the vision that you continue to grow. And I know that we're going to definitely work on getting your followers back up. I'm going to definitely put it out to my community. This is going to get out. This is my first podcast, but it's definitely going to grow. I'm definitely going to have you back on because I see your business just continues to grow. You went from a basement to 10,000 square foot, employees, and there is no deviation in your product. I feel that the product you created in the basement, what you said 9 years ago, is just as good as the product you're creating now in 2021. And so it's amazing. I've referred, and anytime I get a compliment on my skin, you need to go to garnersgarden.com. That's where you need to go, because and it's even from the separation of the men and the women. It makes me feel like, okay, they took their time. Like you see Noxzema, there's no Noxzema for men. There's no Noxzema for women. There's no this product for that. It's, it seems like there's a whole care in, okay, let's focus on what you said earlier, which was the niche. And it's like, okay, let's take our time on this. So when you can tell that in a product, you, like you say, you want to support it. So now that I've met you, of course, us supporting each other is not a question. That's what we're going to do. As we can see, so I appreciate you coming on. Definitely going to do this again, hopefully in person when the COVID slows down. I totally understand it. We're here in the PG DMV area. One of my goals is to eventually get an event space to be able to host these things here. But like you said, till then, it'll be in the office that has the dog cage across the way you guys can't see. And but I definitely appreciate you having here. Definitely going to work on definitely have the affiliate link, number one. Number two, also going to post a link for those who may be in legal trouble and support the wife for sure. But other than that, I appreciate you coming on here and giving us your ugly truth.
And thank you for having me. And
absolutely.
My one last word is the ugliest thing you can do is quit.
There it is.
So
talk to him about it.
Just don't quit.
Don't
you can
quit.
pivot.
Right.
You can find different avenues, but the ugliest thing is quitting.
Yeah. So yeah. It's so crazy. I just put that as my tweet this morning. I started my new page, and quit quitting is all I put. Quit quitting. Stop. But normally by the time you quit, that moment you quit was also the very moment there was going to be a change.
And I always say you have to hit rock bottom first. And then once you hit rock bottom, that's when what you just said, that's when the change starts to happen. If you can crawl yourself out of that rock bottom, that makes you just so much stronger. And whatever you're doing, your brand or whatever, it just makes it that much stronger because you had to go through that. Every single plateau, not plateau, but every single wherever milestone that I've gotten to, I've had to hit rock bottom before that. I go back up. I had to hit another rock bottom. Go back up. What happened in January? That was rock bottom at that level for me. So I have something I'm cooking up for December.
I'm excited.
November and December. So I'm hoping that that's going to propel us into next year. So
I'm excited.
Don't be scared of these rock bottoms.
Yeah. That's a word. I can't wait to see what's going to be cooking up in November and December. I'm excited now. I like low key want to know offline, but I'll wait like everybody else. But if you slip up and send a text message about it, I'm rooting for you.
Thanks, Kelli.
Absolutely. So with that, thank you so much for coming on the Ugly Truth podcast, where we talk to amazing people who've done some amazing things. But as we know, everything that glitters not always so gold. So I look forward to talking with you again when everything continues to grow, as we grow. I really appreciate you coming on here and speaking with us today.
You're welcome. And thank you for having me. It was very refreshing.
Absolutely. I appreciate that, King.
All right.
All right. Stop the recording.